the last year for it. Each tribe is eligible for $70,000. The governor has put that into his budget. They're going to try to write legislation to keep it going, but since he's out, he was the big supporter of it, chances that it's gonna be passed again are pretty slim to none, especially with the current economy that we're in right now. So each tribe was getting that. Do you know how far back did that go? Just his administration?
Yeah.
Yeah, just like last 8 years, or 7 years about. And each tribe's eligible for 70,000. Sarah?
Well, I was wondering if we have match money.
Yeah, well, you can match it in kind with, you know, for example, if you use their backhoe, that amount of money can be, that's called matched. So, yeah, we match
We
it
can
like
match it
that.
then, that way.
In kind,
In kind.
yeah.
And Daryl, that's how, you know, it was written up, was that the vast majority of it was in kind match.
Yeah, because I knew.
'Cause we don't have no
cash.
money.
Yeah, which included calculating the amount of time that the council spends on discussing it, working on plans for it, as well as, you know, people that we're gonna have that have already said that they would volunteer to bring equipment and help work on the place.
We'll get a little bit more in depth in that at the end here, but I thought maybe, Gerald and I discussed this, we thought maybe you should know at least some of the things that we're trying to handle, you know. It's been horrific, you know, there's other things we could be doing besides trying to figure out how in the hell we're gonna get money to pay past due bills and keep our credit halfway decent instead of being, you know, we don't wanna be low life and stick so many people with things, lose our building. I mean, it would make us look almost ridiculous, you know, we just get it. But I wanna say this though, I was told, and Gerald knows that those people were ready to take that building here at the end of this month. They were gonna take it. And I have to say, we put out a letter of thank you for Lisa Evers and Gerald and putting that all together, that they actually stepped up and paid those taxes for us, because we didn't have $7,200, you know. So I thought the state was quite gracious in working with us. Gerald has very good communication skills. He works very good with Lisa, so I'm very pleased with that. But those are some of the things that we're trying to put back together. Now the one that Mrs. Kenneberger now has been working on, and it's also incredible to me that we had lost our 501c3 status because of a lack of filing. We didn't file the paperwork for it. So we've been, it's been revoked. So what does that mean if it's we don't have our 501c3 status? Well, let me explain one thing to you how I tried to use it. Oh, we all try to use it. Is when we were dealing on this office building, this lady that's quite wealthy that lives in Arizona, maybe she has a tax issue. And I was asking her, you know, if we gave you $1,000 a month for this particular office space, would you write 500 of it off on a 501c3 status and we'll just pay you 500? You know, if the IRS was going to allow her to take $500, well, then we might have been able to say, yeah, they're paying me $1,000 a month, but I'm getting a $500 tax deduction at the end of the year for each month. It's crucial. It helps us. It's kind of something we can throw out there to these people that maybe have that problem with taxes. Don't have that opportunity anymore. So Mrs. Kenneberger, she never had this color hair until she started working on this file with the IRS, but she's been battling with them for about 2 months. And so I'm going to tell you where it's at, and then I'll let her take over from there. It's still not complete. It's still a battle. The last thing that we were able to do, I did approach our attorneys in DC. They do have an expert that works on a 501c3 status. So Mrs. Kenneberger and one of the associated attorneys by the name of Josh is going back and trying to get things what they need. But we still need a lot of information, lots of it. And we're going to ask Colleen to help a little bit with this and work with Mrs. Kenneberger and get these forms in over there so we can try to get reinstated on our 501c3 status. But of all the things to lose, that was one of the worst. So Mrs. Kenneberger, would you tell them what you were going through there? And tell her how many, be truthful now, tell her how many IRS agents you talked to, was it in one day, 47 of them? You know, I mean, from one phone to another, some of them couldn't speak English.
That's true, very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get on the phone and I would talk to the IRS and I get one person, and you know, you have to wait for about, your waiting time's gonna be from 10 to 30 minutes, of course, so I just put on speakerphone and I went about my business until they got on the line. And then I would get some information from one person, and then I needed some more information, so I'd call another one. And this other person that I called would contradict what the first one said. And that's happened several times. I don't know how many people I've talked to. Finally, I needed some information before I could even get started on what the 501 was filed under. So finally, this gal did tell me, she says, well, they were filed under public charity. So under public charity, we can go with educational and the public charity part of it. Otherwise, I would still be fighting with them. So anyway, I did get online and get the 1023, and I filled out, I mean, there are so many questions, it's unreal. And I wasn't able to answer all of them. See all these marks that I've got in here? These are all the questions that are questionable, that I cannot answer. And we called Josh, like John said, Josh Claus from DC, he's an attorney, and I read all these questions off to him. He says, oh my God. He said, are you working on this all by yourself? I said, yes. He says, well, I can't answer these, I'm gonna have to get a tax expert. So that's where we're at. I don't know, it's unreal. And then I talked to this Brian Guion, and he's with a nonprofit, I think here in Great Falls, some co-op here in Great Falls. He said, if you guys get that nonprofit, he says, it's going to be amazing, because they don't want to do that anymore. And this has been, I mean, all Sinclair had to do was file an annual report. And you can do it electronically. It takes maybe 2 minutes, 2-3 minutes, that's it. And because he didn't file for the last 3 consecutive years, we lost our 501c3. That's a nonprofit corporation. We were a nonprofit at one time, but not anymore. And that's why it's cost us $18,000, because we lost that. But we're still working on it, and I did finally get a fax to the feds on getting our old 501c3 that was filed back when they filed it. That's going to take 60 days. But we have until December to get this filed. So we're still working on it, still plugging away.
I'm not sure I understand this. Are we reinstating the
We're
501?
reinstating the 501 that was
That
revoked.
we had previously, we're
Right.
not starting from scratch?
No.
So wouldn't those questions have been answered? once
They would have been
already?
answered, but I cannot get, like I said, it's going to take 60 days to get a copy of that one that was filed.
Well,
Yes.
the question would be, is you guys have been going through the files down there. What have you come across financially? I mean, there should be documents kept that were
We
from all
still
those
have
filings.
boxes and boxes that haven't been gone through, but Albina's been doing that. We've only been working on Indian Child and enrollment. So when she finds something that pertains to us, she brings it to us. I don't know what she does with the rest.
So I've been looking for it.
Yeah.
All
There's
the
a-
files that we've got so far anyway, I went through and have not found one iota on the 501. Nothing.
And there's a couple amendments we'll have to make with our bylaws, and one of them is a conflict of interest, and the other one is what are we going to do with our assets if our corporation were to be dissolved. So we can do that. I mean, the executive committee can go ahead and do that resolution and get that passed. That'll have to go along with the application.
We'll get, if I may, Mrs. Taylor, we'll get the assistance of Troy and Donna from DC, and these Josh, because this is quite complicated. And I also want to reiterate, but I think I told Mrs. Kannenberger, I said, well, why don't you go up to the IRS office and talk to a human being face to face? She did that. They told her, and of course, have any of you ever been in this IRS office here in Great Falls? First thing you gotta do is take a number. For God's sake, take a number, and you sit down and you wait. And guess what? You don't get any answers. They don't know. They gotta call a
They don't.
supervisor.
They gave me a whole lot of packets, and that was it. Yeah,
Frustrating.
Well, crazy.
yeah.
Social Security office is the same way.
So,
And
yeah.
I did call the state and ask if they might have had a 501 that was filed with them. And she said, well, yeah, we can give it to you. It'll cost $10. I said, well, I'll give you $10. So I got the packet in the mail about 2 days ago. It was all the past annual filings. That was all it was. There was one word in there that said 501c3. That was it. So I called her and I says, well, I thought you were going to send me the 501c3. She said, well, you have to talk to the IRS for that. And I said, but when I called you or emailed you, you said you had it and you were going to send it. She says, well, that's all we have. That's all we have are the annual reports. So they're worthless.
And they didn't help at all, huh?
Not at all.
So these are the
To
things
answer
that
some
we're
of
up
the
against.
questions?
Yeah.
No.
So we're gonna, next time you see Mrs. Kenneberger, it might be,
I'll have my hair dyed.
oh, no, color.
It might be Snow White.
But,
Or Honey Black. There's a,
oh, yeah, I was gonna say to you, should we take a break, restroom break, coffee break? Very good, let's do that.
Donuts back there.
And there's donuts back there. So let's take a break. 15-minute break, start 2:30.
We're kind of short of 50-50 tickets today, so first come, first served.
All right, tear them up, Bruce.
That part of the road to deal with. I got them right here. Come and get them. The riches are on the table.
Do you want this beef? I think it should be filed with the NDL. Because they don't have it. This is what they sent me. I mean, a whole packet of this. Now, that's the amendment we have to do. So what we're gonna have to do is, the executive committee's gotta meet, and we have to pass the same resolution. This is right behind your house. And this amendment, I guess. We have to do that same thing. And it's gotta be, to make me worded.
How you doing there? T-shirt.
Josh is.
Do you trade them or did you buy them after?
Josh, because he knows what I'm talking about.
Okay, talk to that lady right over there. The other side there. Let her know.
Yeah, this is a resolution that we need to do some.
Let me yell.
Because we have to do this.
What's that?
I can have someone do it. We have to remember. We have to. Can I put that on there? I mean, just tell them. Let's meet for 10 minutes. It's the council. I have her. I have all of them here. because when the questions on here, when I I've never had price of the hat. And Uncle Lee is an aunt and a niece. And I said, you know what those doggone people in DC, those guys, everybody didn't come from Indian country. He said, my God, you're right. He said, I'm for this kind of driving. He said, hell, yeah, we're all about it. Yeah.
Bring it back, so you don't like this one.
Yeah, right. I wanted to change it.
No, it's really in. We did. Called.
Oh, yeah.
She was alive.
She's
At the, when, where, no, this is. At the mail.
okay.
Well, they paid the scholarship.
How you doing, Katie? Good.
You didn't run into any of those.
Oh, you don't just like change. No, I don't mind the change.
Son, he got his CDL license. He bought it. Heck of a deal. They know what they're talking about. Oh, there they are. Yo, son, he got a CDL license. He called me yesterday and said, "Have you actually, where was that yesterday?" And I said, "Hell no." And he said, "Well, he said I hit the edge of New York City, right up the dugout." He said, "I wish I'd brought the camera along and snapped a picture." He said, "It's kind of hard for those driving."
All that, you know, everything is I don't want to.
Yeah.